And now for our introduction of guests and visiting Rotarians, Richard Wydick. And I think the first guest is mine. My guest today, Alex, will you please stand up? My guest is Alex Wardell, and she's with Core Wealth Advisors. She is Director of Client Services, and next week, I think, takes her exam to get her securities license.
My guest is Jill Christie. She is the Business Development Director at Encompass Health Rehab Hospital, which is the new huge building being built on Hardin Boulevard, opening in April.
Next on the list is Lori Martini.
Thank you. Again, with me today is my son, Andrew Lingenfelder. He works for Public Supermarkets Incorporated.
Voters.
Hopefully for the last time, my good friend Jim Smith, he's gone through Rotary information. We'll be bringing him in next week.
So, looks like Michelle and Stephanie have the same guest.
So Nate Pearson, where are you? Oh, there you are. So come stand up. This is Nate Pearson, who bailed on us last week. So I gave him a really hard time last week, Tuesday night, and so now he's coming back to honor his appearance. So he has graced us with his presence. Thank you, Nate.
Kim Bronson.
Thank you. And if you'll help me welcome my friend Mark Pepfinger from Wisconsin. He's here visiting with us. Great week to be at Disney.
We had some Zoom malfunctions this morning, so I didn't get mine written on the list. But again, I have Frances Hadley with me and Tahir Hamid, and just like Fred's guest, they're going to be coming in next week.
Thank you. So that brings us to out-of-town Rotarians. Jack Nussbaum from Frankfort, Indiana.
Jack.
All right.
Well, we have one other very important visiting Rotarian, our district governor, Miss Deborah. Did you want to say a couple of words?
Well, looking at the clock, good afternoon. Oh, now we can do better than that. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for inviting me to your program today. This is really an awesome month. We've had awesome months before, but this is the month for the women. And women in Rotary, boy, I tell you, thank you. Thank you. Women in Rotary. So let's celebrate. Take care. Thank you.
Okay, now for Happy Dollars. And I'm going to go first on this. I could have the following folks stand up: Mike Huff, Stephanie Colon, Stacy Campbell-Dominic, and Joelle Ruthven. Mike Huff is our Businessman of the Year. Stephanie Colon is Businesswoman of the Year. Stacy Campbell-Dominic is Nonprofit of the Year. And Joelle Ruthven received the highest award, the George Jenkins Award. And of course, I forgot one, Mark Davies for Employer of the Year at Kimberly Horn and William Roll. So what a great group of Rotarians. Congratulations to all of you. And I promise I'll put some money in.
All right. I'm very happy to be here today because Spring Obsession is coming up in a week. from Saturday. I know everybody's going to be there. It's going to be at the beautiful Lake Crago Park. There's going to be lots of plants. There's going to be lots of food. There's going to be lots of fun. And if you haven't been there, it's a great place to come and visit for the day. So I'm priming the pump. What did we thought you were reporting? All right, who's happy? We have one over here.
If you're happy, go ahead and stand up so Scott can find you quicker.
All right, I'm happy because, well, not happy, but after 18 years, John Scott and Bill Little from the other Red Lake from Rotary Club are stepping down as committee chair and race director for the Rotary Fall 5K. It's a 5K we do every year run by the 5 clubs. In replacement, I know Vince Jones isn't here, but Vince Jones is going to be our new committee chair, and yours too. And I drew the short straw. I'm going to be the race director next year.
So, because we're honoring women today, I'm going to ask y'all a question. What woman was the first female district governor in our district? Anybody know? Oh, of course, Deborah knows. Somebody from our club. Anybody know? Come on. Jackie Asbury. You got it.
I've been a guest several weeks now from Frankfort, Indiana. And I'd like to pose a question. Does anyone in the room know what the high school mascot is for the Frankfort, Indiana High School? Anyone? I have $5 that I'll put back in the book if someone can tell me what our mascot is. Who said that? We are the Frankfort Hot Dogs. And when my son was on the football team, he said it takes a real man to be a weenie.
That's worse than the joke I'm going to tell later.
All right, I have a happy dollar because I went to the Lightning Predators game that was outside this weekend. It was amazing, and Lightning won. I'll have to put my money in there later because my purse is up there and I'm here. Okay, well, you can walk with me after. Okay. I'm happy because on Friday evening, our agency went to our annual Advertising Federation award ceremony, and our agency won 11 awards that night, 2 golds and 9 silvers for work that we do for clients right here in our backyard, but also for clients that we work with in other parts of the country. So it was a great night for our team.
All right, now for singing, Mr. Dorsey.
Okay, there are phone books, very unused phone books on your table. If you can't hear me, now can you hear me? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not too high tech. No, don't turn it off. I've had several requests for Silent Night in its entirety, but we're not doing that. It's the wrong time of year. Let me see a few of these books. Turn to number 64. It's on page 88. I'd love to have a couple of you sing along, if you would. It's not hard. Most of you can read. Number 64. Sing out a song of Rotary, echoing throughout the land. Go ahead. Give of yourself to serve another with a helpful Rotary hand. Working together helps us to remember our purpose grand. Sing out the song of Rotary and let it echo throughout the land. Very good. Thank you.
Great job, Dorsey. And as usual, the rest of you are terrible. All right, for a few announcements, Greg, come on up. Stephanie, you have an announcement, and Jim Russell.
This is for Melody, who's not here. She's in charge of the Spring Obsession. She asked me to remind people of the Chipotle fundraiser tonight. So you can go and whatever you buy, I guess 33% goes to Spring Obsession, which is fabulous. And she still needs volunteers. So say it 100 times, so times 100. And you still have time to sponsor, to find sponsors and send them the website. Anything else I can think of, which I don't know. Right now, I'm not thinking about a whole lot. So anyways, volunteers. We need some help, and that'll be after. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. Okay, thanks. You got it. All right. Anyways, just a reminder, we're still selling raffle tickets for the diamond necklace that Ryan McClellan donated to our club to raise money for Know and Grow. We have about $1,100 raised so far. The value of the necklace is $1,200. So we're taking purchases of those tickets through next week. You can buy them on the website, or you can buy them from me here with cash or check. Also on Tuesday, and we'll do the drawing next week as well. So somebody's going to get to go home with a pretty beautiful necklace, and you don't have to be present to win. So all of those folks who are buying online who are not present at our meetings, I have your names and the amount of tickets that you've purchased, and they're in the bucket to be drawn. The same evening, we're going to celebrate Joel and Jack and Joel. I like saying it that way better. Jack and Joel. Over at Spring Hill Suites, John Loudon has provided his workspace and bar for us to go have a couple drinks and celebrate their departure. I don't know if that's really a celebration, but we're going to celebrate them anyways and their endeavors for their future, leaving us here in Lakeland and both traveling to Texas, but not together. And then the 31st is our bourbon tasting with Nate, and we still have some spaces available. So if you're interested, just RSVP to me, and we will have more events coming up. Thank you.
Thanks.
Last Wednesday, February 23rd, other than being my daughter Stephanie's birthday, was also Rotary's 117th birthday. And if I may borrow a few words from the district governor, I want her to know that that's the first thing I do every Saturday morning is get up and read your letter. But also, last Wednesday, the 23rd, was World Understand and Peace Day for Rotary. And some of the things that, far as peace building and conflict prevention, Rotary supports training, education, and practices related to peace building and conflict prevention through initiatives that help transform conflict in our communities around the world. Say that fast 3 times. Today, there's over 70 million people who are displaced by conflict, violence, persecution, and human rights violations. Rotary creates environments of peace. As a humanitarian organization, peace is the cornerstone of our mission. And some of the 4 aspects of Rotary's promoting peace are the practitioners, the educators, the mediators, and the advocates. We've been lucky over the years to have folks who have been in different roles of that all through the years. And now we are very fortunate to have a member who you could say in his professional career as a Methodist minister has checked all those boxes at one time or another in different parts of the world. He and his wife gave up their Christmas vacation to spend it in New Mexico. And maybe by now you might know that's our very own Larry Rankin. Helping resettle and relocate and resettle Afghan refugees. The Ledger was just happened to catch that, and in a nice gesture wrote a very nice article featuring Larry and his wife. And we would like to present that article in permanent form to Larry. And come on up. I hope you didn't ride your bike today. Good.
We are returning after a visit in California. We'll be there in Las Cruces from 8 to 15 March. So we'll be able to give more information as it arrives. And just right, since I have the podium now, we are investigating through very legitimate sources about the possibility of creating a loving community to possibly bring a family here. Not just Rotary, but other groups. And stay tuned. Thank you so much.
Okay, and now for our program, Stacy Campbell Dominic. And I have a feeling that I'm going to get outnumbered very quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and switch places.
So thank you. We're kicking off Women's History Month, and we're very excited about this opportunity to do this. And I get to introduce quickly the panelists. So bear with us, and please, please, for the sake of our panelists, understand the true value of women's history and the true value of what we bring to the club. And while there may be a little humor, there's nothing funny about outstanding women's leadership. Okay. Pretty women wonder where her secret lies. She's not simply cute or built to fit a fashion model size, but when she tries to tell them, they think she's telling lies. She says, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride in my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's G. That would be Gay Ratcliff, the first female president of the Lakeland Rotary Club. She walks into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man the fellows stand and fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around her like a hive of honeybees. She says, it's the fire in her eyes and the flash of her teeth, the swing in her waist and the joy in her feet. She's a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's Lori Martini. The second female president of the Lakeland Rotary Club. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so hard, but they just can't see her inner mystery. When she tries to show them, they say they still can't see. She says, it's in the arch of her back, the sun of her smile, the ride of her breast, the grace of her style. She's a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's me, Michelle Ledford. Third president, female president of the Lakeland Rotary Club. Now you understand just why her head's not bowed. She doesn't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see her passing, it ought to make you proud. She says it's in the click of her heels, the bend of her hair, the palm of her hand, the need for her care. Because she's a woman, phenomenally. Phenomenal woman, that's C. Carol Wallace, the most recent and fourth president of the Lakeland Rotary Club. Now, I did not write this poem. This is a famous poem by Maya Angelou, one of my favorite poets. So, and I mean it, you have a group of phenomenal women before you. And another phenomenal woman who is soon to be president of the Lakeland Rotary Club is Amanda Walls, who will be moderating this panel. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you, Stacy, for that fabulous introduction of these women. And I am truly honored to have these 4 phenomenally fit females whose lead I will fervently follow as I take on the role of president of this fantastic club on July 1st of this year. So today we're going to hear stories from each of these amazing women of the Rotary Place who share a common bond of being one of our past presidents. And let's not delay because I have a lot to learn. Madam President, past President Gay.
Yes.
What was it like for you to be the first female to hold the title president of the Lakeland Rotary Club back in the olden days?
Excuse me? Well, there's nothing about the old president. And to tell you the truth, I had to kind of temper myself because very honestly, the men in the club just weren't ready. Right? I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but I had to tiptoe around it very carefully.
And what was the obvious, Gay?
The obvious is I'm a goddess, and goddesses had to be very careful. I mean, it took 7 years for this club to understand how great I am. I mean, the Supreme Court did it in a year and admitted women into Rotary, but this club, you know, men are a little slower. We love them, but they are just a bit slower. But we love them. And you know, we would never be where we are today unless I had been the first president.
Yeah. And so where are we today exactly?
How long is it till you're going to be president? You know, I do. You have a lot to learn. Well, we are the Lakeland Rotary Club. It is March 1st, 2022. And we're about to recognize the wonderful women that are on the dais here with me today. So please, gentlemen, pay attention. Thank you so much.
So Gay, before we let you off the microphone, we'd like you to share what it felt like to be the first female president and how you were approached to consider the role.
I was on a cold Friday afternoon after a hard work week at work. I had my secretary buzz me and said, Buzz Sawyer's here to see you. Buzz Sawyer? Yeah. Buzz Tarver. Oh, yeah, Buzz Tarver. Oh, Buzz Tarver's here to see you. I'm like, what in the world does Buzz Tarver want with me? Well, I go to the lobby. There's Buzz Tarver, Charlie Faulkner, Greg Ruthven, and Lionel Lindsay. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? All these people here to see me. So we go back and we sit down and they start talking to me. Of course, I was on the board and they started talking about the anniversary dinner. Well, Greg had headed it up and I had helped him. And they started talking about how we had lost money. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I know we did. I'm on the board. And they were talking about how they were going to make this money up. I'm like, oh God, they're here to ask me to pay the difference. I mean, it was like $3,000. I'm like, Jesus, what am I going to do? And I say to Greg, I say, you know, Greg, you were the one that, you know, set the prices. Remember? And he goes, well, I'll tell you, I'm not paying for it. I thought, oh, this is it. They're going to say, hey, you're going to have to pay for this. So and I said, well, could I come to a club meeting or something at a board meeting and explain it to them? They said, why don't you go get your calendar? So I went and got my calendar and they said, this is January. And they said, what are you doing in May? And I thought, June. And I thought, that's a long time before a board meeting, but okay. Well, what day did you want me to put it down on my calendar? They said, well, could you go to Singapore on June the 4th? I thought, Singapore? I mean, my mind, I'm like, there's a board meeting in Singapore on June the 4th. I mean, I'm just, and they said, no, we'd like for you to be the next president of Rotary. And I said, I can't. And they said, what? I said, I'm running for a national office, American Speech Language Hearing Association. And if I'm elected, I will be probably, the board is approved, I'll probably be gone about 6 months during the year. So you need a plan B. And they, you can imagine. And they looked at me and said, we don't have a plan B. I said, well, then you're just going to have to wait and see if I'm elected. So, you know, the president comes to the club and tells everybody who the next president-elect is. Everybody was on buzz. Who's the next president? Who's the next president? Like, you couldn't tell them. So on May 4th, which was a Monday, I called Buzz and said, you're in luck. I didn't win. And so May 5th, I came in and he announced that I was the next president. And then finally, everybody started clapping. So, and only one man left. So I thought I was doing pretty well.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so Madam Past President Lori, you graced the club with your presidency following in the footsteps of Goddess Gay Ratcliff. What was one key lesson you learned from your predecessor, and what were some of the more memorable experiences during your regime?
Oh, you can talk about it. Merely call me queen. So naughty. And I scripted it out because I am nervous in front of this whole body of people. I think that, first of all, in respect to Gay, it was very hard 11, 12 years later to become the second president, female president of this club. Gay is obviously vivacious and has energy, and she's an extrovert. Everything I'm not. And she also was Miss West by God, Virginia, for goodness sakes. So I really had to reflect on what it was that I could bring to this club. Be true to myself and who I could be. And that was, to me, my favorite things are building infrastructure and making change, closing my eyes and seeing process. And we were fortunate the year before, Mark IV had a bylaw change. And so I took that and ran with it because I was going to change our infrastructure. And I wanted to sunset some of the long-standing traditions and clubs of members or committees of this club that were no longer viable or relevant or serving us well. And I'm a very high D, very high C leadership Lakeland folks, you know what that is. And so I just thought, boom, boom, this is what we're going to do. And in reality, my biggest lesson in learning was that our members need to be valued and they need to be heard. That I may have this big plan and I can close my eyes and see it and why it's important. But if I don't cultivate those relationships along the way, I'm not going to have buy-in. So it was a little bumpy at first, but then I took a step back and I took the time to listen as to why those things meant so much to some of our tenured members. But then also, after listening to them, explain why I thought we could move on from that. It was not easy. I did stumble, I did fall. I learned how to concede and to compromise. But I'd like to think that at the end of that year, we created better efficiency for growth. I was asked what my, what I enjoyed most about that year, a good memory or something fun. And I will tell you that I was far from perfect, but it was the second year of Child of the Sun. And Michelle served as the event planner for Child of the committee chair. We had the monsoons that day. If you remember the club, it rained, cats, dogs, everything imaginable. And the decision had to be made about 2 o'clock if we were going to cancel it or bring it inside. So we brought it inside. Well, it was an outdoor event. So our numbers that showed up were small, they were slim. And it was the first year that we were saving money for the AED projects. So we didn't meet that goal. So afterwards, flexible and resilient, I said, you know what? We have a lot of leftover booze. Let's have an auction. So the following week, we went to Hugh Turvey Bill's building and we had an auction. And oh my goodness, we sold everything. Posters, we auctioned everything. I even auctioned off the shirt I wore that night. It was clean, but I did auction off my committee chair shirt. And then we auctioned off all the booze. And it was only about 2 or 3 days later that I found out and was told that that was illegal. So, you know, at sidebar, we lost a lot of good folks that year, a lot of tenured members. And they dubbed me the Black Widow president. And I do think, where's Jack Lohman? He's in the room. Yeah, you surpassed me, dude, your year. But so I would like to hand to you to take with to Texas or whereabouts the Black Widow president name and own it and wear it well, my friend. But of all the trials and tribulations that we did that year, what I was able to do, there were a lot of folks in the club that didn't trust me, didn't know me, didn't know why I wanted to be president, and they weren't even sure the women should be in Rotary, let alone be the president of this. I'd like to think that my most proud moment and my takeaway was that I worked very hard to listen to them, to overcome the challenges and frustrations that they may have had so that we could go forward. And I'm honored because many of them are still my most avid supporters, both personally and professionally.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lori. I am definitely keeping mental notes here.
I know this is scripted out, forgive me.
Don't worry about it, I'll skip it. Okay, so I think I have this straight. Goddess, no. Queen, yes. So Queen Michelle, you had the pleasure of coming behind 2 amazing women who carefully paved a path for you to succeed. I figure by this time the club should have been used to great women leaders doing great things. And I'd like to hear you share what the experience was like for you. Did you encounter any surprising obstacles and how did you overcome them?
Good afternoon, everyone. So I don't think there can be 2 queens. We've got a goddess, a queen. Maybe I'm the heiress because I inherited the leadership ability, yes, of the women leaders of the club. I was so honored to serve as the 3rd female president of our Lakeland Rotary Club, and started that journey with an incredible feeling of responsibility to make sure that I carried on the legacy not only of this club and all of the giants that have been members of this club for over 100 years, but also, these 2 phenomenal women, and to make sure there was an opportunity for another woman to lead shortly after me. So my journey in Rotary was rather quick. I joined the club in 2009, immediately was asked to serve on the communications committee. I did that. So then the next year I was asked to chair it, did that. And then then I was asked to be a member of the Child of the Sun Jazz Festival and Urban Sprint Triathlon Committee because we were starting that signature event. So I served on that committee, and then the second year I was asked to chair that. During that time, then I also became a board member of the club, and just became very, very involved. Actually set up our club's Facebook page way back in the day. So that's me. Also set up our group one because I couldn't stand all the Facebook Messenger chats that were going on during the pandemic. Jack. That's right. So I joined in 2009, and in 2013, I found myself in the position of being asked to be the 3rd female president of this club. I did not feel I was worthy. I didn't feel like I had all of the self-doubt happened. But 2 wonderful Rotarians had the responsibility to ask me that. One of those was Lori Martini, who actually brought me into the club. And then also Bryce Philpott. We had just finished a press conference for Child of the Sun in front of Lakeland Police Department, where we were again talking about the importance of all the proceeds that were going to be raised from the signature event were going to be to purchase 100 AEDs for LPD. And we had a little mishap during the press conference. And after the press conference, Lori and Bryce asked me to go get coffee at Mitchell's. And I said, oh gosh, because I knew I was going to get a little bit scolded. Bryce has a way of doing that, but then also being your best friend. Throwing him under the bus too. I don't think he's here. All right. You can get me back later, Bryce. Anyways, we sat down, talked about the press conference and things that we could have done a little bit differently. And then they asked the question if I would be willing to serve. There were a group of people in this club that thought I had the ability and the capability to be the third female president of the club. I didn't understand that you need to say yes like right away, but I didn't. Like I need to have time to think about this. But by the way, where is the Rotary International Convention? And it was in, I have props. I had the opportunity to have my Rotary International Convention in Sydney, Australia. So I got to go home and tell my husband, this was one way I bribed him to let me support me in this endeavor. We get to go to Australia. He's like, I'm in. So my year, the Rotary International theme was Light Up Rotary. Going to that international convention was life-changing. It's amazing. You have the ability to go to that before you start your year as president. And, we are working with our Rotarians in our club and with our other clubs in our communities. So sometimes it's hard to remember that this is an international organization. So when you have the opportunity to be with Rotarians from all over the world, it's life-changing. It's very, very impactful. So quickly, just to highlight some things that we did during my year and talk about an obstacle or a challenge. We not only were continuing our signature event of Child of the Sun, I decided to throw another signature event at this club. So we actually completed 2 during my year. And the second one was the Beach Boys concert, which started a multi-year fundraising effort with the other clubs of Lakeland to, in collaboration with the city, to bring the Rotary Playground in Hernandez Landing. So we've got a legacy there on the north side of Lakeland, which is fantastic. But a few other things. I've got some hardware from my year that I will share with y'all. So again, because of all of the growth and the reputation that our club had in the district, big responsibility of leading the club is making sure that you're hitting all of those milestones, what we're giving to the foundation, what we're doing in our community service, and then also what we're doing for our members. So during my year, we received the district governor citation, most new members, which that happens often in this club. We also were the best club website. We had the best fundraiser, Child of the Sun Jazz Festival. We also had the best community service project, which was the Rotary Playground in Hernandez Landing. And we also received the presidential citation that year as well. So my year is not the only year that we've achieved all of those awards. I bring those back to show all of you, to remind you that we have an amazing club. Our reputation within the district over the years has grown and grown and grown. Not only because we have the most generous members in our club, but we have an amazing ability to bring people together and get things done. And it was my honor to serve and lead this group at that time.
Well, Heiress Ledford, I certainly thank you for your leadership and for continuing the legacy of those that went before you. And so now we turn to, last but not least, our most immediate female past president, Carol. And I think there's no way I can mess up your title. I've got them all under control at this point.
Past president is my role, but my official title is different from these ladies. It's not quite as fancy, but it's really powerful.
Okay.
I, dear, am Carol the goat.
The goat?
Man's favorite goat. Does she not know anything? The greatest of all time.
Of course. Of course.
Well, after all, I am definitely not bragging, but I am the last president who had record in-person attendance before the old worldwide pandemic hit. You know, after me, things have really never been quite the same. Just ask Joe and Ivy.
You're right. COVID did rear its ugly head during your year. So tell us what it was like during your year as president. What do you feel was your greatest success and one thing you do not care to remember?
Well, we had a lot of successes. I'll start with the last question first. What do I wish to forget or not care to remember? And I think my year of 2019 and 20 will always be remembered as the year of COVID-19. But there was a lot more to my year than that, and I'll touch on that in just a moment. But the saddest day for me, my year, was about this time 2 years ago, the day I decided to spring of session 2 days before the event. And Amanda was the spring of session chair, and her team had worked just so tirelessly. We were set, the weather was beautiful. We had more vendors than we had ever had before. We were set for a wonderful event. And so it was the hardest thing because we had not one case of COVID in Polk County when we made this decision. So all day, Amanda and I were on the phone, and we were texting with Joel Ivy, who was constantly in meetings with the mayor and other city leaders, and we decided to cancel. I doubted my decision a million times. It was the hardest thing to do. But right after that, the world shut down, and of course our in-person meetings. So from there, I really didn't know if we would have a way to meet for the rest of the year. But the challenge was switching us to virtual meetings, and that was the biggest challenge of my year, especially when I did not know what I was doing. But y'all just acted like I did, and things rocked along. Thank you very much. But that was hard. But another challenge, Sarah Breed was our program chair that year, and Stacy and anybody who has ever worked on that committee knows how hard they worked to get that calendar set months in advance with the diversity of programs and with really interesting topics. Well, immediately our whole calendar of programs was erased. Not one program speaker wanted to come on virtually. See, they didn't know any more about Zoom than I did, but I didn't have a choice. So Sarah, bless her heart, was just working week to week, putting programs together. And I think one of the nicest things we did, a lot of our members stepped up to do programs, and Beth stepped up to do a program. So we learned more about our own members during that time. And actually, that was one of my favorite parts of that last quarter of the year. But challenges bring out the best in people. And I saw that with our club. You know, it's just human nature. When we're able to come here every Tuesday and see friends and take that little hour of nugget out of our week to where we experience nothing but positive things and warmth and love and friendship. And when all that's taken away from you at the blink of an eye, I know I, for one, felt that old adage, you never know what you got until it's gone. That's the way I felt. But Rotarians have a bond, and I saw this club pull together to keep that bond intact, and that meant so much to me. So enough about COVID. That was really just the last quarter of my year. I had 3 quarters in person, and we got a lot achieved as a club. And all the success was the club's, not mine. We kept growing. We inducted 19 new members. We met every financial goal that we set for ourselves as a club. We met our foundation giving goal. The golf tournament that year with Jack and Trey raised $20,000 for carts for Alzheimer's research. We, spring of session, every person that had committed as for money gave all and maybe even more. So we were able to give $50,000 to Bonnet Springs to meet our commitment to the park. So at the end of the year, right, the last few weeks, we had met all the financial challenges, and we were just kind of on cruise control.
we got a challenge from the district to participate in a district-wide project to raise money for Feeding Tampa Bay. And once again, we dug deep. We had club challenges and people were matching money. And so I believe we donated more than any other club, which once again is not a surprise for our club. We're so generous, but that was on top of everything else. So, you know, when I look back at the challenges of COVID, and we talk about that a lot, with everything that's going on in Ukraine today, I think there are Rotarians over there today that can't meet. And when I was at my international convention in Germany, in the House of Friendship, there was a booth about Rotarians or Rotary clubs during World War II. And it had a map of Europe and all the dots where Rotary clubs were that couldn't meet for years. So I think, you know, I don't want to complain about COVID. We were able to meet by Zoom and in peace. And so I just feel very, very blessed to have been president during that year. I really do. Thank you all.
Carol the Goat is also being a little humble, and I'll just remind you all, there was a slide up earlier that she, during her year, was also named as Rotary Club President of the Year by our district governor at that time. So that was another phenomenal accomplishment. So this has all been very enlightening for me, and I'm so grateful. Are we going to give them time to give me 30 seconds of advice, each of them, and no questions from the audience? Because I know the first piece of advice they're all going to give me is make sure you end your meetings on time. But if you would give me 30 seconds of advice quickly, each one of you.
Walt Disney said that always remember it was started by a mouse. And you need to remember that it was started by the mantles of many, 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 many leaders in this community. It will be the best, one of the best years of your life. But always remember, this is the Lakeland Rotary Club. I think greatest Rotary Club there is, and I miss it a lot. And if you continue to think greatness, they will achieve it.
Just remember that you may be the one at the podium every week, but you have all of us 100% behind you and supporting you. And you will get through your year because of Beth Hesseltine and Fred Oders.
You will have a lot of suggestions coming to you from all over the place. And what I want for you to remember is for you to be yourself. Be you. You were selected because of your loyalty, your dedication. You are intelligent, you are strong, you are capable, and you ooze integrity. Be you.
Thank you.
My advice is as much to the club. She is a go-getter, so I just say hang on and enjoy the ride because she is going to get the job done. So I am excited about your year, Amanda. I echo all of the things that these ladies said, but also just be prepared for things you cannot control. I can say that with certainty. So as much as you plan and as much as you try to delegate and have all your ducks in a row, things will come up that you from out of left field that you would never have planned, and just keep smiling and enjoy the ride.
All right. Thank you all very much.
I was going to say, let me just wrap this up with, in front of each one of your tables, we have, in each one of your seats, we have a gift bag, and you have to stick around and take what's in that gift bag and come up here and show it off. But now you understand just why their heads are not bowed. They don't have to shout or jump or talk real loud. When you see them passing, it ought to make you proud because they're women phenomenally. Phenomenal woman. That's me, and me. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Stacy, and thank you all of you guys for coming and sharing your stories. We are truly a better club because of women. There is no doubt about that. And if you think I'm going to get up here and do a joke about women, not happening, people. I'm looking around going, I had one, just so you know, but it's not happening. All right. Before that, I'd like to thank our guests and visiting Rotarians, Alex, Jill, Andrew, Jim, Nate, Mark, and Taher, and visiting Rotarian Jack. Thank you all for coming. And so last week, after the meeting, I got the privilege of talking to Shanita and Taher for a little bit, and it turns out they're both authors, which led me to think I'd never written a book. Gauntlet drops. Yes, it was a pop-up book with lots of pictures, but maybe it was read to me. I don't know. But I survived a fall down some stairs not too long ago, and I thought this is an opportunity to write a book about it. So it's called How to Survive Falling Down the Stairs. It's a step-by-step guide. I know. We are adjourned.